perbincangan ini, dipersilakan peserta kita yang keempat, Saudari Sara MARYA DANI binti IWAN DANI daripada Politeknik Sultan SALAHUDDIN ABDUL AZIZ Shah Alam dengan tajuk beliau Cost of Living Issues, Global Impact and Solutions. Dipersilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, ladies and gentlemen. Salam Malaysia Madani. First of all, a huge thanks to the event organizers, the fair and experienced judges, and the audience, and the lovely audience for allowing me to stand here and share my thoughts. Okay. First, I would like to share a quote from a famous Spanish-American chef, Jose Andres. Food is national security. Food is economy. It is employment. It is history. It is everything. And I very much agree with that. Food is the most important thing in our lives. We can't live without food. That's why the topic I will be focusing on today is food security. Food security, for those of you who don't know, food security is an consistent and reliable access to enough nutritious food to live a healthy life. 10% of the global population suffer from hunger, which means more than 800 million people worldwide go hungry due to food insecurity. They lack access to food because of conflicts, extreme weather events, and economic downturns. What does food insecurity have to do with cost of living, you might ask? Well, food insecurity exacerbates a lot of cost of living crisis in numerous ways. First of all, and most obviously, is that food security leads to a myriad of health problems due to an inadequate diet. These health issues such as malnutrition and diabetes require medical attention and drive up healthcare costs. Aside from that, a shortage of food commodities also make it more expensive to buy the available food. And this forces households to allocate a larger portion of their income towards obtaining sufficient food. This takes away more income from other essentials such as housing and transportation. So we know what is food insecurity. Let's move on to why food insecurity happens. Our current food insecurity is largely affected by the long-term effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted supply chains, caused labor shortages, and raised essential items prices, which led to further increase in poverty rates globally. Other than that, climate change and natural disasters also negatively impact food production and thus food security. Droughts, heat waves, and floods all destroy and damage crops, leading to a lack of declining availability of food. In 2021, the floods in Malaysia caused more than RM 90 million in losses in the agro-food industry. The final cause that I would like to share is global factors. Global factors increase the price of food and other commodities. For instance, India's current export ban on rice, while they did it to protect their own citizens, it has caused the global price of rice to increase because India is the world's largest exporter of rice. And another good example is the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia and Ukraine are some of the world's largest producers of energy, fertilizer, and grains. Because of the conflict, the supply has been limited, and so demand increases, which ultimately leads to higher prices globally. So we know the what, we know the why. Let's move on to the how. How do we solve this food insecurity? First and foremost, we need to focus on improving the resiliency of our food systems, which means we can still produce enough food for our people even through challenges such as natural disasters, global pandemics, and other economic downturns. So I'd like to highlight 3 solutions that will help this issue in the long term. The first is to invest in sustainable and climate resilient farming. This includes boosting crop diversity, creating climate resistant and disease resistant strains, and also optimizing the usage of resources by implementing techniques such as vertical farming and crop rotations. The next solution is to reduce the reliance on imports from overseas and instead focus on improving the local food production in terms of land, labor, and capital. Last year, Malaysia imported more than 70 million ringgit in food. That is not sustainable as our currency continues to weaken and the price of food continues to rise, and even our exports are declining. Therefore, we need to increase the robustness of our local food production, because a nation that can produce its own food will not be as affected by global factors. The third solution is more related to specifically to our country, which is about the labor shortage. Malaysia's farmers are declining. We rely a lot on foreign labor, and 70% of our local farmers are over the age of 60. Sorry. And even the younger generation are not as interested to take up farming as a vocation. That's why we need to utilize the internet, social media, and use the power of virality to promote farming as a vocation and encourage local people, especially the younger generation, to become farmers. This way, it solves the labor shortage issue and also the unemployment rate in the country. After improving our food system resiliency, we must also take into consideration the issue of food waste. Our country, there's a lot of complaints about the rising cost of food. However, Malaysians waste a ton of food every day. Globally, 1.3 billion tons of food are wasted every day. That's enough to feed 3 billion people, okay? And so we need to address this issue. On the community level, we can educate people and households on how to accurately estimate the amount of food we actually need in one meal and how to properly prepare just what we need instead of wasting food. In conclusion, food insecurity is a huge factor in our cost of living. We need to improve our food system resiliency and reduce our food wastage culture. For what I want the audience to take away is, the first thing you can do is reduce our food wastage. So thank you all for your undivided attention. That is all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.